One interesting thing a few people have mentioned to me in the past is that not all humans are reclaimers, and that only some have the reclaimer gene. Which is interesting because I honestly never knew that was an issue until I started making videos on Forerunners, and was shown that video from Halo 4 Spartan Ops.
Roland, translation. Elites were here, trying to find reclaimers. Humans who can operate Forerunner technology.
That's when it kinda hit me. Wasn't all of humanity supposed to be reclaimers and not just a few? The main problem is that Bungie never really said that all humans were or were not reclaimers, whereas 343 just flat out says only some are. Kind of. It has to do with the librarian from Halo 4 and the Gene song, and how apparently the reclaimer gene is like dormant in some people but never fully gone, so technically everyone has it but not everyone can use it. Kind of oversimplified.
When I indexed mankind for repopulation, I hid seeds from the didact. Seeds which would lead to an eventuality.
For me, when it comes to the human Forerunner debate, I just want to know what Bungie originally intended, because we know what 343 is using now. So I take everything from the release of Combat Evolved to the end of Reach to look for clues. I don't really count things like Halo Wars or Halo Legends for lore advice, but that could be a video for another time. And while I do agree that not all things line up completely, like how Halo Reach and the Fall of Reach don't really line up at all, that's not what I'm going over in this video. The claim I'm making is, despite it never being said outright, did Bungie intend on making all of humanity reclaimers? Let's start with the games. We don't really get to interact with every single character, aside from the ones who show up on screen next to a Halo monitor, who are involved in using Forerunner technology, but we know Chief, Miranda, and Johnson are for sure shown as being reclaimers. Spark refers to Chief and Miranda as reclaimers, and Johnson can activate the rings, which only a reclaimer can do.
That final step is reserved for you, Reclaimer.
What's the matter, big shot? Can't start your own party?
I admit, I need your help.
As for the books, I went through the original 6 to see what I could find, and honestly, reclaimers don't really come up that often in the books. The only concrete moments I find are in Contact Harvest. We do get a brief mention of Marvin Mobuto in the Flood and how Spark wanted him to activate the ring since he was a reclaimer, and Ghost of Onyx mentions a Spartan 3 named Ash encountering a Sentinel that classifies him as a reclaimer, until he answers the code wrong and then it reclassifies him to be neutralized. In Contact Harvest, it goes into a little more detail by claiming that the inhabitants on planet Harvest are reclaimers. Harvest has thousands of reclaimers and the planet has a population of 300,000, so that number is in the thousands, meaning that either the entire planet is reclaimer or that a massive chunk are reclaimer. It's never fully said, but I think that's what Bungie liked doing, which is keeping everything an obvious mystery. 343 made it clear that, in their lore, not all humans are reclaimers, but we're not exactly given the specifics of how many or how little those numbers come out to. So, let's just say for the sake of the argument that 343 made it rare to be a human reclaimer. I'm going to say that because if it's rare to not have it and common to have it, then what is the actual point in even making it so that some humans are reclaimers? It just doesn't change anything other than retconning something for a quick scene in Halo 4 Spartan Ops. In shows like My Hero Academia, not having a quirk is unusual, but that's because we follow the hero of the show who begins quirkless. In Halo, if it's something that not everyone can have, it makes no sense to make the protagonist have the reclaimer gene, but others don't, unless there's a specific reason for it, but I haven't seen any so far. Anyway, the numbers from Contact Harvest are important because if reclaimers are rare, why does the entire planet light up with thousands of reclaimers? Maybe it's possible that all humans light up as reclaimers, but not all of them are reclaimers? But my issue with that is, it's not really said or shown in Bungie's games or novels, and people have to just make things up, because of information that came after when 343 retconned the reclaimers and Forerunners. If the gene is in humans, how do the monitors know if they're active? Do they see the genes by themselves? Do they see the gene if they're active? If that's the case, wouldn't the same technology used to see those genes also be able to see them the same way monitors see them if they were all built by the same people? The only logical conclusion I can come away with from that is that Harvest was riddled with thousands of reclaimers, meaning it's not really rare. I mean, thousands doesn't automatically equal 300,000, but that kind of leads into my next issue. which is how it's strange that wherever we go, we always seem to find reclaimers despite how rare they could be, I think. It's funny to me how people rag on Bungie for never addressing many of their mysteries, as if 343 just kind of answered all of these questions themselves. We don't exactly know how being a reclaimer works in 343's lore. Anyway, how rare they are, not in regards to what was mentioned in Contact Harvest scanning planets, but the fact that Chief, Johnson, and Miranda are all together and they just so happen to be reclaimers. Halo 4 kinda gives an answer to this by saying it was all kind of predestined by the librarian and from thousands of years of somehow planning this all out perfectly, resulting in all the correct people coming together. It makes it feel like there are too many narrative contrivances, and the whole thing comes off like too much of a coincidence, and it's just implausible when you stop to think more about it. It comes off like Chosen One syndrome, where all of the heroes just happen to end up together and have the special gene song in them that's activated. If all humans are not reclaimers, it becomes implausible. It breaks the suspense of disbelief. It also undermines the stakes by making Halo's world feel less real. If the reclaimer ability is supposed to be rare, but all of the people we just so happen to run into all have it, the human population in Halo is somewhere between 20 billion to 40 billion people throughout the galaxy. The odds of these three scattered across space having a rare gene and just so happening to all work together feels astronomically low. So why did the Sentinel not recognize Ash as a reclaimer then? Because Sentinels aren't smart AI like monitors are, and it originally saw him and assumed he was a reclaimer based on his appearance, until he provided the wrong code, and then it reclassified him as compromised, probably assuming he was flood infected. Who knows the exact reason, but people using that as a justification are oftentimes, based on my experience, trying to justify Halo 4 and 343, and they're not actually trying to see what Bungie had originally intended. One big issue with all humans not being reclaimers is, why do all of humanity need to die if only a few humans are reclaimers? This is why the Halo TV show makes more sense. If not all humans are reclaimers, why would they even need to prevent a human from joining the Covenant if there's nothing to hide? I mean, granted, the only real reason the Covenant need to destroy humanity is because they're the Left Behind Forerunners, and not because they're reclaimers, but still. Also, why do members of the Covenant seem to know that humans can activate Forerunner technology, but we never once hear any mention of, is this human a reclaimer who can activate the technology? We never get a single hint that there is a human who isn't a reclaimer, and while the absence of information isn't proof, I still think that what we do know helps remove any real doubt. Everyone kind of expects humans to automatically be able to use Forerunner technology, but there's no mention of a single human not being a reclaimer or a human not having the so-called reclaimer gene in any of Bungie's original games or novels. So, from what I've seen and read, I'm pretty certain Bungie intended on making all humans reclaimers, and retconning it so that only some humans are reclaimers makes almost little to no sense. I still don't understand why that was even added in Halo 4 to begin with, if it doesn't really serve any real purpose. I don't know. Maybe that rumor about 343 hiring people who hated Halo was true. Well, thanks for watching.